in America, many of us still believe in the American dream. But why are we still not happy? Why are we struggling to own our own home, to find a job? Do we still have faith that our government representatives have a heart? And do they care about the people who actually put them into office? Join us as we sit one-on-one with America's congresspeople and ask the questions that will reveal what is at the heart and soul of the people who decide our lives. Hi, I'm Sister Jenna. Let's do Soul Talk. Hi, this is Sister Jenna. Welcome to Soul Talk. I have the fortune of having Dr. Ben Michaelis with me today. Dr. Ben Michaelis is a clinical psychologist, popular speaker, blogger in HuffPost, and author of Your Next Big Thing, 10 Small Steps to Get Moving and Get Happy. With a practice in the busy hustle and bustle of downtown Manhattan, Dr. Michaelis shares proven strategies to take action, end monotonous routines, and lead a purposeful life. Ben actually came across to me in my iPhone when there was some sort of an alert or message pushed into my iPhone. And then I looked at the iPhone and I started to read what he was offering, and I said, he seems to have something very important to say. I think one of the most important things is to speak to experts who are looking at areas of consciousness and meditation and spirituality. And we want to understand that more. We want to decode these things more. And we're very happy to have Dr. Ben Michaelis with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sister Jen.
You know, I've been putting together these questions because one of my crusades of late is to bring spirituality and meditation to America in a way that we can understand that it's not out there, it's really down here, it is in here. Mm-hmm. And I turn to experts to learn more about things like consciousness, about God, soul, life, the unfolding of time. Mm-hmm. Now, we've all had callings in different ways, and I believe that when you were attending an Ivy League university in New York, mm-hmm. I'll keep that quiet, that you had something happening within you. Could you share with me a little bit about what was it that made you unfold into your spiritual journey or your calling?
Well, I was studying psychology. I was interested in it just kind of for curiosity. And to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of what I found the studies to be about didn't actually have a lot of soul in it. It was really rather sort of removed and kind of academic, to be honest with you. And so I was there, and I stayed there for a while as a researcher, and there was something that just didn't quite feel like it was adding up to me. Mm-hmm. And so after I graduated and after I was there for a while as a researcher, I decided that I wanted to go to India and by myself and climb the Himalaya, which I did for about 6 or 7 months. Mm-hmm. In order just to explore a little bit more about spirituality and what have you. I spent some time with the Dalai Lama, which was incredibly gratifying for me.
Sure.
And just being out in nature, I just found to be so uplifting. And it was that journey and experience in India that kind of really opened up my life, which was 18 years ago.
18 years. Did you find yourself when you were in the Himalayas? Did you find yourself when you were up there on the mountaintop?
I think that the whole journey was about finding myself in some ways. It was being open to different people, because when you go to a place like India by yourself, mm-hmm. you just meet these amazing people and you have these sort of adventures along the way. Mm-hmm. And it was all in sort of the people that I met, in the experiences I had, some of which were in the Himalayas, some of which were, on the plains or in Rajasthan, but it was the experience of being open to other people that sort of helped me to find myself.
I've always thought that whenever I go to India, it's like organized chaos, and it teaches me so much about who I am.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that you said something very powerful, that in the study of psychology and in the study of soul, so to speak, or consciousness, in the academic world, you didn't see any sort of a knowledge on what is soul.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share with me what is your definition of soul?
Sure. I mean, psychology literally means, Greek, psyche is soul, and ology is learning of or study of. So it's really literally the study of the soul. But the way it's practiced in academia, it's really more about the mind, or not even so much consciousness, although I think that's changing a little bit more now. Right. And for me, the soul is, it's sort of the recognition that we are really truly all one being. We may look different, we may come from different places, we may be at different points in our journey, we may even be different genders, but we're really all the same. And that is sort of recognizing that is really what the soul is in some ways.
Would you say that your soul is talking to me now through your body?
Oh, not just talking, but yes, it's using my voice, but it's right here in our presence, yes.
Love that. Consciousness has not always been very easy to decode. It's got perhaps many facets to it. I can tell you what my interpretation of it is. I don't think it's really relevant at this time. But as a psychologist, and you have studied and you have trekked to the mountaintop and been back, you've spent time with the Dalai Lama, you spent time with the maybe a village urchin and people in New York City and all of that. When you look at consciousness, or you turn to consciousness, how does it serve you and what does it mean to you?
Well, you really hit on it right there with the word serve. I think consciousness is all about serving. Like when you recognize that we are all connected, and that I believe that all of our jobs in life is to be doing service to others, and that's consciousness. Is when you realize that you're not above and you're not below others, but you're there to serve and to improve other people's experiences and other people's lives. That's consciousness.
Never heard that before. That was beautiful. And if the world, and let's say for example America, because I'm really looking at how we can qualify meditation, spirituality, conscious raising ways of existing in this country. If you were to ever visualize a perfect America, do you even have one in your consciousness at this time?
I think it is, yes. I think it is the idea that a lot of our American society is about taking.
Interesting.
It's a capitalist society. I live in New York. It's the heart of capitalism. And I think that a perfect America is when that is flipped and it's all about giving. And when we are realizing that our job in life is to be able to be of service to other people. And when that consciousness is happening, it's starting.
Yeah.
But when that is really pervasive over our land, over our country, I think that'll be that's a perfect America.
That's an interesting comment, because one of the things that we have heard throughout time is how giving the country is to other nations, other countries. Now, what is the contradiction within our own walls? Are you saying that we're actually not giving to ourselves here, but we would rather go and give to, let's say, Iraq or Iran or some other country out there?
Well, I think, and some of this may be because I'm from New York, but I do think that capitalism in and of itself, it's a very competitive, and there's a sort of sense of like winner take all in our society. And so there's a lot of focus on, well, what do I have and what does my neighbor have? And this concept is sort of keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. So looking at other people to sort of measure yourself. And I think I think it's changing, but my hope is that people are going to start realizing that's not really what happiness is and wellness is. It's about what can I do to serve others.
Beautiful. How can I be of service to you is consciousness for you. That's excellent. When we are in service, sometimes we feel that we're being used by a higher power. There are times that we feel that if I could be an instrument for God, I feel like I'm very selfless. I'm almost altruistic at times, okay? I've asked a lot of people their definition of God. I remembered one interview where I asked somebody, what are you absolutely sure of? And they said that there's a God. And then I asked them, what's your definition of God? And they said, I don't know. And I thought that was so profound, because as close as it is to us as a feeling, to decode it in words bumps us up. And I'm not quite sure if there's a need to. But when we talk about this energy of God, are there different gods? Is there one God? What is your definition of God, and how can we access this source?
Light questions, Sister Jenna, light questions. You know, I do think that there is one God, and we all access this spirit in different ways. And so I do think that there are different truths that are leading to the same ultimate truth. Right. And so in terms of defining what that is, it's sort of like I know it when I see it and feel it. And again, it's that sort of connectedness. And I think that God is really, truly everywhere. Right. But there are times when you feel, I think, more in the presence of that benevolent spirit. And it's not all the time. Sometimes you feel closer to it, and sometimes you feel further from it. But it is all and is all around us.
That's powerful. The concept of saying that God is benevolent, in Hindi there's a term that we use called Shiva. And Shiva means, in decoding it, the constant benefactor. I mean, in Hinduism they might think Shiva is this image, but what it actually means in terms of his actions is that if you ever turn to that energy, it's constantly going to give something to you. Yeah. Dr. Ben Michaelis, what are you absolutely sure of at this stage in your life?
What am I absolutely sure of? That life is something that, I think a lot of times, because I'm a clinician, and unfortunately, unfortunately, come into contact with a lot of pain and sadness during my daily life as a clinician. And I often have the experience of people feeling like life is something that you have to do. And I'm absolutely sure that life is something that you get to do. And that we were talking about this idea of benevolence. The odds of any of us existing are so infinitesimally small that there's something miraculous about each and every one of us. And I mean, think about that. I mean, the odds are so incredibly low that it's such a wonderful experience, and it's a gift to be alive. And I think that life is about finding that gift and expressing it and sharing it with others.
I agree with that, and I think that if we could value our lives more, we would put into it more positivity and definitely a lot more love. Yes. Dr. Ben Michaelis, thank you so much for being on Soul Talk.
Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful. It's been wonderful having Dr. Ben Michaelis with us today, and I've learned that consciousness is service, and that God was a constantly giving energy. And I was sharing with you that in Hindi, it means Shiva, means the constant benefactor. I think these conversations that we have together are really important, and they're very meaningful. I've never thought that consciousness meant service. But as I kept listening to it as Ben was speaking to me, I was realizing that if I'm consciously awakened, I'm no longer dependent on matter or on people, because I'm now alive and I'm aware. So if I'm aware, it means I'm cognizant of my thoughts, words, and actions and behavior. So it just might mean that I'm more of a contributor to humanity than a taker. So we're going to wrap up today's show, and hopefully I will leave you with an image that is offered in Indian mythology. The deities always have their hands in the form of bestowing, the givers. Maybe this is the time for our nation to be givers to each other and to the self by being conscious and having the awareness that perhaps this energy called God is constantly an energy that gives. Thank you.